Recently, 5 African Americans shared with an auditorium full of students what it was like to go to school before and after desegregation. Among the panelists, the first student to integrate into Fayette County Public Schools.
I just think it's really important for them to, the experiences that they had is not ours.
I was a young girl who did not give my parents too much trouble because I had to answer to both of them. And they always told me, you can go and strive to be what you want to be, but you might run into some headaches.
We had people from the Old Douglas and the Old Dunbar that was originally established, affected them on their education.
It's important because as students read in the history book, sometimes they don't recognize that there are people who have lived through those experiences. You know, they've read about Martin Luther King, they've read about Malcolm X, they've read about Muhammad Ali, they've read about all these historical figures, and then there's no discussion in terms of, well, these people who are 80 and 90 years old have actually lived through those experiences.
I was in the class, in a psychology class. And do you want to know what that professor said when he walked in and saw this one face in that class? He said, I've never taught Negroes before. All they've ever done is waited on me. That's what I faced in UK. That's what I faced in UK.
Having them come here and share their struggles and essentially say that they were able to make themselves who they are throughout it is pretty important to me, because if even if I don't have those struggles, I can still make it.
Do you know what's happened to me in the last few years? In UK, along with Lafayette, has come up with a scholarship for students of color who want to go into education. And that scholarship is in my name.
If we can come into an environment where you get 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old students that can hear how these people have experienced that history, and if they can understand what they've gone through and what they experienced, then maybe they won't repeat it. That it won't be something, you know, hopefully we don't have to go back and experience the same thing to go forward. Hopefully we can keep going forward.
Stand up for what you believe, but treat your fellow man as you want to be treated. That's all I ask of you.
The Black Student Union at Frederick Douglass High School organized that panel discussion. Pretty powerful. In March 2020, Breonna Taylor was shot and killed by police in her Louisville apartment. Her death sparked protests across the country. Now, almost 3 years later, a public art installation in Lexington is celebrating her life and memorializing her death.
We're here to dedicate this beautiful piece. The name of this piece is At the Clearing.
I think this piece speaks to our need as a community to acknowledge injustice as it happens to Black people. We wanted to engage the community. We wanted something big and substantial because the crimes against us remain big and substantial. We also wanted a place where people could come, and like with the Wailing Wall of Jerusalem, the Jews came to mourn there. They would sit in front of it and cry and put their prayers right into the crevices of the wall. And that's what we wanted to build, a gathering space so that people can put their own thoughts about what happened to Breonna, what's happening all over the country. Right there.
The tragic death of this young woman was ultimately a catalyst for all of us to do better.
We are speaking up against police brutality. Our voices are elevated in literature. Our voices are elevated in art, amplified, and also celebrated.
To grow what we can imagine, our bodies in rhyme, the thud of hoe and axe.
When I got to read Dr. Shauna Morgan's poem, it inspired me because I already had the visuals, but then I needed another layer to be able to speak out this collaboration itself of, you know, the literary and the visual. I think I pushed the boundaries of what a sculpture and a painting could also be. And so, apart from remembering Breonna Taylor and knowing what happened, you know, I want also people to see the transitioning of how to represent art and how to remember people.
I want people to leave with the sense that, wow, this horrible thing happened. How do we do better? How do we do better as individuals and the community? If you remember in 2020, the world acknowledged the death of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. There were protests worldwide to say, we see this isn't right, Black Lives Matter. And that's what I want people to walk away with when they see this. Our voices matter.
The title of the piece, At the Clearing, references a fictional place in Toni Morrison's Pulitzer Prize winning novel, Beloved. If you're interested in visiting, the piece has found its forever home in front of the Met, a residential and retail complex in Lexington's historic East End. A bill that supporters say will help ensure